So, hello, friends. I wanted to share with you all my June read, All the Lonely People by Mike Gayle. So, this was the only book I read for the month of June. So, I guess June was sort of a busy month for me. But I absolutely enjoy this book and I give it a 5 out of 5. And here's why. So, I am Camille Claiborne, the moderator for the Lincoln University Alumni and Friends Book Club and your favorite book club moderator. So, for the month of June, we read All the Lonely People by Mike Gayle. Um, so there are so many themes or so many things that are happening in the month of June. But one of them is Caribbean Heritage is celebrated during the month of June. So I chose this book in honor of Caribbean Heritage Month, as the book details the life of a Jamaican immigrant, Herbert Bird, who travels from his hometown in Jamaica to London, England. So some of the recurring themes in this book are family, love, friendship, and of course, loneliness and grief. So the book actually alternates between the present and the past, detailing Herbert's journey from Jamaica to London, how he starts a new life in London, him finding work, falling in love, and eventually beginning his family in London, England. So Herbert has a full life that's full of happiness and of course a little bit of sadness. And unfortunately towards the end of his life he experiences an extreme amount of grief. I think this book is a good example about how everybody processes grief and trauma differently. So Herbert's grief has caused him to be isolated and almost become a recluse. But the good news is, by the end of the book, he is no longer isolated and he has built a friend community. So I wanted to share with you all a quote from the book that relates to loneliness. So the scene is set. His neighbor Ashley, who eventually becomes one of his friends, becomes part of his friend community, comes to visit him, and she comes with her daughter Layla. The moment it had dawned on him that he wasn't an island, that in spite of himself, he missed the company of other human beings. No, he wasn't really in the mood for cake, company, or conversation. But he had to acknowledge that this was something he needed, even if it wasn't necessarily what he wanted. The other sort of subplot to the novel is the love story between Joyce and Herbert. So Joyce is a British white woman, and her and Herbert eventually get married, but they face a tremendous amount of racism due to their interracial relationship. Joyce is almost, not almost, she is ostracized from her family due to their relationship. So I wanted to share with you guys another quote from the book related to that. Okay, so we're setting the scene. Joyce is pregnant. So she finds out that she's pregnant. Her family sort of figure out, she hasn't told anybody that she's pregnant except for Herbert. But her family has figured out that she is expecting, and they had kind of sensed that she was had a relationship. But anyway, they end up, kicking her out of her house. So she goes to Herbert because her family has now kicked her out because she's pregnant by this black man. So she goes to Herbert and he actually proposes. Joyce Ann Pierce, would you do me the honor of being my wife? And not because of the baby, and not because you have nowhere else to go, but because me don't want to waste another single minute without you. The scene is they are actually at their wedding day, um, and none of Joyce's family has come to the wedding, despite Herbert personally going and asking them to attend. It doesn't matter anymore, she paused a moment, and then her eyes met Herbert's. You're my family now. If you have the time, please check out All the Lonely People by Mike Gayle. I'm almost positive you will love the book just as much as I did. Happy reading, friends.